Poems of the Great War by various authors. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Duty by William Watson. Give gladly, you rich, 'tis no more than you owe, for the weal of your country, your wealth's overflow. Even I that am poor am performing my part. I am giving my brain, I am giving my heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Wake Up, England by Robert Bridges, Poet Laureate. Read for LibriVox.org. Thou careless, awake! Thou peacemaker, fight! Stand, England, for honor, and God guard the right. Thy mirth lay aside, thy cavil and play. The foe is upon thee, and grave is the day. The monarch ambition hath harnessed his slaves, but the folk of the ocean are free as the waves. For peace thou art armed, thy freedom to hold, thy courage as iron, thy good faith as gold. Through fire, air, and water thy trial must be, but they that love life best die gladly for thee. The love of their mothers is strong to command, the fame of their fathers is might to their hand. Much suffering shall cleanse thee, but thou through the flood shalt win to salvation, to beauty through blood. Up, careless, awake, ye peacemakers, fight! England stands for honor, God defend the right. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Vigil by Henry Newbolt. Read for LibriVox.org. England, where the sacred flame burns before the inmost shrine, where the lips that love thy name consecrate their hopes and thine, where the banners of thy dead weave their shadows overhead, watch beside thine arms tonight. Pray that God defend the right. Think that when tomorrow comes, war shall claim command of all. Thou must hear the roll of drums, thou must hear the trumpet's call. Now before they silence ruth, commune with the voice of truth. England, on thy knees tonight, pray that God defend the right. Single-hearted, unafraid, hither all thy heroes came. On this altar's steps were laid Gordon's life and Outram's fame. England, if thy will be yet by their great example set, here beside thine arms tonight, pray that God defend the right. So shalt thou, when morning comes, rise to conquer or to fall. Joyful hear the rolling drums, joyful hear the trumpet's call. Then let memory tell thy heart, England, what thou wert, thou art. Gird thee with thine ancient might. Forth, and God defend the right. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To the Troubler of the World by William Watson. Read for LibriVox.org. At last we know you, warlord. You that flung the gauntlet down, fling down the mask you wore. Publish your heart, and let its pent hate poor, you that had God forever on your tongue. We are old in war, and if in guile we are young, young also is the spirit that evermore burns in our bosom, even as heretofore. Nor are these thews unbraced, these nerves unstrung. We do not with God's name make wanton play. We are not on such easy terms with heaven, but in earth's hearing we can verily say, our hands are pure. For peace we have striven, and not by earth shall he be soon forgiven, who lit the fire accursed that flames today. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To England, to strike quickly, by Maurice Hewlett, read for LibriVox.org. Fight, since thou must, strike quick and fierce, so when this tyrant for too long hath shook the blood out of his ears, he may have learned the price of wrong. Let him learn this, that the due grief of his own vice he cannot ban by outrage of a highway thief. Let him remember the Corsican, whom England only durst not dread by sea or shore, but faced alone, nor stayed for pity of her dead, until the despot's day was done. Strike, England, quickly, make an end of him who seeks a deal with thee. If he would bargain for thy friend, what would he trade for liberty? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The 4th of August, by Lawrence Binyon, read for LibriVox.org. Now in thy splendor go before us, Spirit of England, ardent-eyed, enkindle this dear earth that bore us, in the hour of peril purified. The cares we hugged drop out of vision, our hearts with deeper thoughts dilate. We step from days of sour division into the grandeur of our fate. For us the glorious dead have striven, they battled that we might be free. We to that living cause are given, we arm for men that are to be. Among the nations nobliest chartered, England recalls her heritage. With her is that which is not bartered, which force can neither quell nor cage. For her immortal stars are burning, with her the hope that's never done, the seed that's in the springs returning, the very flower that seeks the sun. We fight the fraud that feeds desire on lies, in a lust to enslave or kill, the barren creed of blood and iron, vampire of Europe's wasted will. Endure, O earth, and thou awaken, purged by this dreadful winnowing fan, O wronged, untamable, unshaken soul of divinely suffering man. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The United Front, by Alfred Noyes, read for LibriVox.org. Thus only should it come, if come it must, not with a riot of flags or a mob-born cry, but with a noble faith, a conscience high and pure and proud as heaven, wherein we trust, We who have fought for peace have dared the thrust of calumny for peace, and watched her die, her scutcheons rent from sky to outraged sky by felon hands, and trampled into the dust. We fought for peace, and we have seen the law cancelled not once nor twice by felon hands, but shattered again, again, and yet again. We fought for peace. Now in God's name we draw the sword, not with a riot of flags and bands, but silence and a mustering of men. They challenge truth. An empire makes reply. One faith, one flag, one honor, and one might. From sea to sea, from height to war-worn height, the old world rings out to conquer or to die. And we shall conquer. Though their eagles fly through heaven, around this ancient isle unite powers that were never vanquished in the fight, the unconquerable powers that cannot lie. But they who challenge truth, law, justice, all the bases on which God and man stand sure throughout all ages, fools! They thought us torn so far with discord that the blow might fall unanswered. And while all those powers endure, this is our answer: unity and scorn. We trust not in the multitude of an host. Nations that greatly builded, greatly stand. In those dark hours, the splendor of a hand has moved behind the darkness, till that coast, where hate and faction seemed to triumph most, reveals itself, a buckler and a brand, our rough-hewn work shining o'er sea and land, but shaped to nobler ends than man could boast. It is God's answer. Though for many a year this land forgot the faith that made her great, now as her fleets cast off the North Sea foam, casting aside all faction and all fear, thrice armed in all the majesty of her fate, Britain remembers, and her sword strikes home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. England to the Sea by R. E. Verned. Read for LibriVox.org. Hearken, O mother, hearken to thy daughter. Fain would I tell thee what men tell to me, saying that henceforth no more on any water shall I be first, or great, or loved, or free, but that these others, so the tale is spoken, who have not known thee all these centuries by fire and sword, shall yet turn England broken back from thy breast and beaten from thy seas. Me, whom thou bearest where thy waves should guard me, me, whom thou suckledst on thy milk of foam, me, whom thy kisses shaped what while they marred me, to whom thy storms are sweet and ring of home. Behold, they cry, she is grown soft and strengthless, all her proud memories changed to fear and fret. Say thou, who hast watched through ages that are lengthless, whom have I feared, and when did I forget? What sons of mine have shunned thy whirls and races? Have I not reared for thee time and time again, and bid go forth to share thy fierce embraces? Sea ducks, sea wolves, sea rovers, and sea men, names that thou knowest, great hearts that thou holdest, rocking them in an endless wake, captains the world can match not with its boldest, Hawke, Howard, Grenville, Frobisher, Drake, Nelson, the greatest of them all, the master who swept across thee like a shooting star, and while the earth stood veiled before disaster, caught death and slew him there at Trafalgar. Mother, they knew me then as thou didst know me. Then I cried, "Peace!" and every flag was furled. But I am old, it seems, and they would show me that nevermore my peace shall bind the world. Wherefore, O sea, I, standing thus before thee, stretch forth my hands unto thy surge and say, when they come forth who seek this empire o'er thee, and I go forth to meet them, on that day God grant to us the old Armada weather, the winds that rip, the heavens that stoop and lower. Not till the sea and England sink together shall they be masters. Let them boast that hour.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Hour by James Bernard Fagan. Read for LibriVox.org. We've shut the gates by Dover Straits, and north where the tides run free. Cheek by jowl our watchdogs prowl, grey hulks in a greyer sea. And the prayer that England prays to-night, O Lord of our destiny, as the foam of our plunging prows is white, we have stood for peace, and we war for right. God give us victory. Now slack, now strung, from the mainmast flung, the flag throbs fast in the breeze, strained o'er the foam like the hearts at home that beat for their sons on the seas. For mothers and wives are praying to-night, O Lord of our destiny. But we've no time, for our lips are tight, our fists are clenched, and we're stripped to fight. God give us victory. The west winds blow in the face of the foe. Old Drake is beating his drum. They drank to the day, for the hour we pray. The day and the hour have come. The sea-strewn empire prays to-night, O Lord of our destiny. Thou didst give the seas into Britain's might. For the freedom of thy seas we smite. God give us victory.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wife of Flanders by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org. Low and brown barns, thatched and repatched and tattered, where I had 7 sons until to-day. A little hill of hay your spur has scattered. This is not Paris. You have lost the way. You, staring at your sword to find it brittle, surprised at the surprise that was your plan, who, shaking and breaking barriers not a little, find nevermore the death door of Sedan. Must I, for more than carnage, call you claimant, paying you a penny for each son you slay? Man, the whole globe in gold were no repayment for what you have lost. And how shall I repay? What is the price of that red spark that caught me from a kind farm that never had a name? What is the price of that dead man they brought me? For other dead men do not look the same. How should I pay for one poor graven steeple, whereon you shattered what you shall not know? How should I pay you, miserable people? How should I pay you everything you owe? Unhappy, can I give you back your honor? Though I forgave, would any man forget? While all the great green land has trampled on her, the treason and terror of the night we met. Not any more in vengeance or in pardon one old wife bargains for a bean that's hers. You have no word to break, no heart to harden. Ride on and prosper. You have lost your spurs.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Stars in Their Courses by John Freeman. Read for LibriVox.org. And now, while the dark vast earth shakes and rocks in this wild dreamlike snare of mortal shocks, how look, I muse, those cold and solitary stars on these magnificent, cruel wars? Venus, that brushes with her shining lips, surely, the wakeful edge of the world, and mocks with hers its all ungentle wantonness. Or the large moon, pricked by the spars of ships, creeping and creeping in their restlessness, the moon pouring strange light on things more strange, looks she unheedfully on seas and lands, trembling with change and fear of counterchange. Oh, not earth trembles, but the stars, the stars! The sky is shaken, and the cool air is quivering. I cannot look up to the crowded height and see the fair stars trembling in their light, for thinking of the star-like spirits of men crowding the earth and with great passion quivering. Stars quenched in anger and hate, stars sick with pity. I cannot look up to the naked skies because a sorrow on dark midnight lies, death on the living world of sense, because on my own land a shadow lies that may not rise, because from bare gray hillside and rich city streams of uncomprehending sadness pour, thwarting the eager spirit's pure intelligence. How look, I muse, those cold and solitary stars on these magnificent, cruel wars? Stars trembled in broad heaven, faint with pity. An hour to dawn I looked. Beside the trees, wet mist-shaped other trees that branching rose, covering the woods and putting out the stars. There was no murmur on the seas, no wind blew, only the wandering air that grows with dawn, then murmurs, sighs, and dies. The mist climbed slowly, putting out the stars, and the earth trembled when the stars were gone, and moving strangely everywhere upon the trembling earth, thickened the watery mist. And for a time the holy things are veiled. England's wise thoughts are swords. Her quiet hours are trodden underfoot like wayside flowers. And every English heart is England's wholly. In starless night a serious passion streams the heaven with light. A common beating is in the air, the heart of England throbbing everywhere, and all her roads are nerves of noble thought, and all her people's brain is but her brain, and all her history, less her shame, is part of her requickened consciousness. Her courage rises clean again. Her children's inspiration is her name, her name. Even in victory there hides defeat. The spirit's murdered through the body survives, except the cause for which a people strives. Burn with no covetous, foul heat. Fights she against herself, who infamously draws the sword against man's secret spiritual laws. But thou, England, because a bitter heel hath sought to bruise the brain, the sensitive will, the conscience of the world, for this, England, art risen, and shalt fight purely through long profoundest night, making their quarrel thine who are grieved like thee, and, if to thee the stars yield victory, tempering their hate of the great foe that hurled vainly her strength against the conscience of the world, though all their dead be countless as the stars, and all the living bitter as the sea. I looked again, or dreamed I looked, and saw the stars again, and all their peace again. The moving mist had gone, and shining still, the moon went high and pale above the hill. Not now those lights were trembling in the vast ways of the nervy heaven, nor trembled earth. Profound and calm they gazed as the soft-shod hours passed, and with less fear, not with less awe, remembering England, all the blood and pain. How look, I cried, ye stern and solitary stars, on these disastrous wars.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Commandeered by L.G. Moberly. Read for LibriVox.org. Last year he drew the harvest home along the winding upland lane. The children twisted marigolds and clover flowers to deck his mane. Last year he drew the harvest home. Today, with puzzled, patient face, with ears adroop and weary feet, he marches to the sound of drums and draws the gun along the street. Today he draws the guns of war.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Man Who Keeps His Head by Harold Begbie. Read for LibriVox.org. There's a man who fights for England, and he'll keep her still atop. He will guard her from dishonor in the market and the shop. He will save her homes from terror on the fields of daily bread. He's the man who sticks to business. He's the man who keeps his head. Let the foe who strikes at England hear her wheels of commerce turn. Let the ships that war with England see her factory furnace burn. For the foe most fears the cannon, and his heart most quails with dread, when behind the man in khaki is the man who keeps his head. Brand him traitor and assassin, who with miser's coward mood has his gold locked up in secret and his larders stored with food, who has cast adrift his workers, who lie sweating in his bed, and who snarls to hear the laughter of the man who keeps his head. Let the poor man teach the rich man, for the poor man's constant strife is from day to seek work, day by day to war with life. And the poor man's home hangs ever by a frail and brittle thread, and the poor man's often hungry, but the poor man keeps his head. When the ships come back from slaughter, and the troops march home from war, when the havoc strewn behind us threats the road that lies before, every hero shall be welcomed, every orphan shall be fed, by the man who stuck to business, by the man who kept his head.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
France by Cecil Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org. Because for once the sword broke in her hand, the words she spoke seemed perished for a space. All wrong was brazen, and in every land the tyrants walked abroad with naked face. The waters turned to blood as rose the star of evil fate, denying all release. The rulers smote the feeble, crying war. The usurers robbed the naked, crying peace. And her own feet were caught in nets of gold, and her own soul profaned by sects that squirm. And little men climbed her high seats and sold her honor to the vulture and the worm. And she seemed broken, and they thought her dead, the overmen so brave against the weak. Has your last word of sophistry been said, O cult of slaves? Then it is hers to speak. Clear the slow mists from her half-darkened eyes, as slow mists parted over Valmy fell, and once again her hands in high surprise take hold upon the battlements of hell.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
We Willed It Not by John Drinkwater. Read for LibriVox.org. We willed it not. We have not lived in hate, loving too well the shires of England, thrown from sea to covet your estate, or wish one flight of fortune from your throne. We had grown proud because the nation stood hoping together against the calumny that tortured of its old barbarian blood, barbarian still, the heart of man should be. Builders there are who name you overlord, building with us the citadels of light, who hold as we this chartered sin aboard, and cry, you risen Caesar of the night. Beethoven speaks with Milton on this day, and Shakespeare's word with Goethe's beats the sky, in witness of the birthright you betray, in witness of the vision you deny. We love the hearth, the quiet hills, the song, the friendly gossip come from every land, and very peace where now a nameless wrong. You thrust this bitter quarrel to our hand. For this your pride the tragic armies go, and the grim navies watch along the seas. You trade in death, you mock at life, you throw to God the tumult of your blasphemies. You rob us of our love right. It is said, in treason to the world you are enthroned. We rise, and by the yet ungathered dead, not lightly shall the treason be atoned.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Pro Patria by Owen Seaman. Read for LibriVox.org. England, in this great fight to which you go, because where honor calls you, go you must. Be glad, whatever comes, at least to know you have your quarrel just. Peace was your care. Before the nation's bar, her cause you pleaded, and her ends you sought. But not for her sake, being what you are, could you be bribed and bought. Others may spurn the pledge of land to land, may with the brute sword stain a gallant past, but by the seal to which you set your hand, thank God you still stand fast. Forth, then, to front that peril of the deep, with smiling lips and in your eyes the light, steadfast and confident, of those who keep their storied scutcheon bright. And we, whose burden is to watch and wait, high-hearted ever, strong in faith and prayer, we ask what offering we may consecrate, what humble service share, to steel our souls against the lust of ease, to find our welfare in the general good, to hold together, merging all degrees in one wide brotherhood, to teach that he who saves himself is lost, to bear in silence though our hearts may bleed, to spend ourselves and never count the cost for others' greater need, to go our quiet ways, subdued and sane, to hush all vulgar clamor of the street, with level calm to face alike the strain of triumph or defeat. This be our part, for so we serve you best, so best confirm their prowess and their pride, your warrior sons, to whom, in this high test, our fortunes we confide.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hymn Before Action by Rudyard Kipling. Read for LibriVox.org. The earth is full of anger, the seas are dark with wrath. The nations, in their harness, go up against our path. Ere yet we loose the legions, ere yet we draw the blade, Jehovah of the thunders, Lord God of battles, aid. High lust and froward bearing, proud heart, rebellious brow, deaf ear and soul uncaring, we seek thy mercy now. The sinner that forswore thee, the fool that passed thee by, our times are known before thee. Lord, grant us strength to die. From panic, pride, and terror, revenge that knows no reign, light haste and lawless error, protect us yet again. Cloak thou our undeserving, make firm the shuddering breath, in silence and unswerving, to taste thy lesser death. Ah, Mary, pierced with sorrow, remember, reach and save the soul that comes tomorrow before the God that gave. Since each was born of woman, for each at utter need, true comrade and true foeman, Madonna, intercede. E'en now their vanguard gathers, e'en now we face the fray. As thou didst help our fathers, help thou our host today, fulfilled of signs and wonders, in life, in death made clear, Jehovah of the thunders, Lord God of battles, hear.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hymn in Wartime. Yattenden Hymnal, number 54, by Robert Bridges, Poet Laureate. Read for LibriVox.org. Tune Tallis's Canon, original setting. Rejoice, O land, in God thy might, His will obey, Him serve aright. For thee the saints uplift their voice. Fear not, O land, in God rejoice. Glad shalt thou be, with blessing crowned, with joy and peace thou shalt abound. Yea, love with thee shall make his home, until thou see God's kingdom come. He shall forgive thy sins untold. Remember thou his love of old. Walk in his way, his word adore, and keep his truth forevermore.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
End of Poems of the Great War by various authors.